Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 59-year-old, now Texas resident Alan Hostetter was a California resident when he took part in the Capitol attack. He's a former police chief. He became a yoga instructor and also a COVID denier, kind of professionally. He co-founded a nonprofit group called the American Phoenix Project, and that was kind of their shtick, was, protesting the lockdowns. But then he started using the group to organize protests for political reasons, and he preached basically out of both sides of his mouth on whether or not to be violent, whether or not it was acceptable. And Hostetter told at least one crowd that he would abstain from violence only if Trump won the election. So after the election, Hostetter traveled to D.C. for Trump's Million MAGA March. That was in November or December. He took guns with him that time. And in a YouTube video, he called for the execution of politicians. And he said, among other things, quote, "Some people at the highest levels need to be made an example of, with an execution or two or three. Tyrants and traitors need to be executed as an example." And quote, "I'm telling the swamp right now that we will be back if this doesn't get resolved peacefully and soon." So Hostetter continued with this rhetoric. He continued to call for executions in multiple public speeches, also leading into December of 2020, or throughout December of 2020, I should say. In one speech, he named the Clintons, he named several CIA officials, former President Obama, plus other people. And he said, quote, "Until these criminals and traitors are behind bars or swinging from the gallows, there is no justice in this country." And on December 16th, in 2020 again, Hostetter posted a photo of himself, and he was with other people, and he and one other man were holding a hatchet. And he wrote in this post, quote, "The time has come when good people may have to act badly, but not wrongly." Well, after Donald Trump sent out his "Be There Will Be Wild" tweet in mid-December, Hostetter started recruiting others to join him in D.C. on January 6th. And he chose to drive from California all the way to D.C. because he wanted to take weapons for himself and his co-conspirator, Russell Taylor. So Hostetter took hatchets, knives, stun batons, and pepper spray. He also had tactical gear. And Hostetter told Taylor he planned to take a pistol. He also took 8 weeks worth of food with him in case he had to stay in D.C. long term. So kind of tells you what his plans were. On January 4th of 2021, this is while he's on his way to D.C., Hostetter was searching online for, quote, "Where will the joint session of Congress take place?" And also, quote, "Examples of mass uprisings toppling governments." The next day, he gave a speech in D.C. So he gives this speech and he says, quote, "We are at war." And then also, he said a lot of other things. I'm just giving you the cliff notes. But then he also said, quote, "They need to know we as a people, 100 million strong, are coming for them if they do the wrong thing." Where they get these numbers, I don't know. I mean, they forget how many people are in the United States in total. And how many of them are children? Anyway, on January 6th, Hostetter and his co-conspirators purposely remained outside of the ellipse where Trump was giving his speech because they knew they couldn't get through the magnetometers with their weapons. So these were some of the people that Cassidy Hutchinson spoke of. After Trump's speech, Hostetter and his co-conspirator headed to the Capitol. They witnessed violence against the police, and they were part of a mob that overwhelmed a police line, and then they advanced to the Upper West Terrace. So Hostetter was recording video. He said it was a, quote, "beautiful sight," all of the violence and everything going on. He and his friend headed to the Capitol doors, and they heard that the building had been breached, but they decided not to enter because they saw officers assembling and trying to fight people off. So they remained outside. They were on the terrace for hours, and Hostetter was using his bullhorn. He was encouraging the others in the mob, and he recorded a video, and he said that they were, quote, storming the Capitol, and, quote, "This was the shot heard round the world. We were in the thick of it." So in the days that followed, Hostetter continued to brag online. He said, "We are just getting warmed up." He also corrected others who said it was Antifa. He wrote, quote, "Patriots broke into Capitol Hill. I was one of them. Don't listen to faux news." So Hostetter was arrested on June 10th of 2021, and he was charged with conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstructing an official proceeding, entering restricted grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon, and disorderly conduct on restricted grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon. Hostetter remained defiant after his arrest. He decided he wanted to represent himself. You might remember some of my updates about this. He then submitted numerous court filings that were riddled with conspiracy theories related to JFK's assassination, 9/11, the cancellation of Tucker Carlson's show, secret societies at elite colleges, even the Wizard of Oz made an appearance. Yes, conspiracy theories about the Wizard of Oz. He said he was being followed by strangers in an, quote, organized community stalking campaign. And he claimed that he had a, quote, profound experience with Christ in August of 2021, but he didn't want to talk about it. He wasn't ready to talk about it yet. So Hostetter referred to January 6th as a Fedsurrection. He called it a false flag operation. He insisted that Ashley Babbitt's shooting was staged. And so he demanded that his case be completely thrown out. The judge was having none of it. The judge was like, yeah, okay, no, buddy. He said, quote, "You don't have any facts to support your allegations." And he gave him a chance. He did. He gave him all kinds of hearings to prove what he was saying, could not prove any of it. Needless to say, Hostetter refused a plea deal. He opted for a bench trial. Well, during the trial, Hostetter made 3 arguments. He said that the election was stolen, and then he said that the rest of the mob had no intention, and he had no intention of disrupting the certification of the Electoral College votes. And then the third argument was that the assault on the Capitol was staged. And he referred to the attack as a, quote, 3-hour hissy fit. So U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth presided over Hostetter's trial. This was in July of 2023. And after Hostetter presented his case, the judge told him, quote, "Belief that your actions are for the greater good does not negate consciousness of wrongdoing." He also told Hostetter that as a law enforcement officer, he should have known that his actions were illegal. And then Judge Lamberth also told him that he wasn't being prosecuted for exercising his First Amendment rights. He said the First Amendment, quote, "does not give anyone a right to obstruct or impede Congress by making it impossible for them to do their job safely or to enter a restricted area while carrying a dangerous weapon." In the end, the judge found Hostetter guilty on all counts, and he faced up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. And this time, the prosecutor requested a stiff sentence. They asked for 151 months in prison, so about 12 and a half years, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Hostetter repeated many of his unfounded conspiracy theories at his sentencing hearing because, it went so well the first time. And he included his claim that Ashley Babbitt is still alive, that it was all faked. And he praised presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy for suggesting at last week's Republican debate that January 6th was a setup by the feds. In the end, the judge wasn't moved by any of it. He sentenced him to 135 months in prison and 3 years of probation. And as Hostetter was leaving the court, he was confronted by Ashley Babbitt's mother. She attends a lot of the January 6th sentencing hearings to show them support for these criminals. Well, this time she took issue with him. She confronted him in the hallway, and he refused to concede that her daughter was actually dead. Hostetter asked her if Babbitt had been cremated. And then as he was walking away, he said to her, quote, "This feels like it's staged." So I want to thank Judge Lamberth, a Ronald Reagan appointee, by the way, for taking this dangerous and delusional man off the streets for 11 plus years. It is terrifying to think that he once wore a uniform and carried a gun. Unreal. And in Southern California. Oh boy. Anyway, I will let you all know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Donate if possible. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.